Hi, I'm back again with a video tutorial on how to, whoops, sorry about that, how to use Odorless Mineral Spirits and Prismacolor colored pencils to color in an image. But today I'm going to start with Ebony from the Greening Farm. She's a digi. Actually, she might not be anymore, but she was when I bought this. She's printed on PTI white cardstock. And I use my Epson printer. The Epson printer the ink does not react with the Odorless Mineral Spirits. You have to be careful what ink you use. Memento Tuxedo Black works well as also if you're using a rubber stamp. Just make sure you test it out before you get full-blown started on an image to see if your ink is going to smear. I do know that Stays On and also VersaFine both smear pretty bad with the Odorless Mineral Spirits. Now for Odorless Mineral Spirits, I like this Grumbacher Odorless Thinner. It's the same as, it works the same as Gamsol. That's a brand that most people like. This one I just like because it comes in a nice small portable plastic container that fits into my Prismacolor tin, and so I can take it with me wherever I go. And then for blending tools, I have a whole variety of these, and these are blending stumps. And they're basically rolled up paper. You can buy them in packs of 5 or individually at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatever art store you have near you will have them. Make sure you get the ones that are rolled solid. They also make a version of a blending tool that is hollow, and it does not work for this technique. So make sure you get the ones that are rolled solid. And what you're also going to want is a nice pencil sharpener. They make a Prismacolor pencil sharpener. It works pretty well. I don't actually like it. I have these little helix sharpeners that I found at Office Max that I think really work the best, that I like to use. And then you also need a nail file or a piece of sandpaper so that you can clean off your blending stumps. Sometimes they get a buildup. You can see how this one's all red. They get a buildup of colored pencil in the end, and then they don't work so well. So you just need to have that around. And it also, sometimes they get sort of where the points are real frayed out, and you need to be able to sand them down. Alright, so let's get started here after you got Prismacolor, or you got Colored Pencil 101. Anyways, getting started, we're going to start with her skin. For Caucasian skin tones, I usually like to use light peach, regular peach, nectar, and then blush pink for blush. I'm going to start with light peach, and I'm going to try to keep my hand out of the way here. And I'm just going to go kind of around the outside edge of her face, and I'm going to color it in. I think I'm going to stand up here and move around. Alright, so you're going to go around the edge of her face, and I'm putting down a pretty thick layer of colored pencil here because I'm going to blend it out, and I need to have enough pencil there that I can blend it out. So I'm kind of going around the outside. Be careful not to go over your black lines too much because the colored pencil will show up on top of the black lines. So kind of be careful with that. It doesn't show up too bad, but it's kind of a personal thing of mine that I don't like too much of that on there. Alright, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Odorless Mineral Spirits here, and I'm going to take my flesh colored, this is my flesh colored end here. What's up? Alright, I got interrupted there for just a minute, so hopefully I can get back to where I was. I've outlined all of this, and now I'm going to take my flesh colored blending stump, and I'm going to dip it straight into my Odorless Mineral Spirit so it gets pretty wet. And then I'm going to take little circles. And for the lighter colors, it seems like you have to press a little harder than you do with the darker colors. I don't know if this isn't quite as waxy as some of the other ones are, but I'm going to go in little circles and get more mineral spirits as you need them. If it seems like it's not moving, moving the color around gets more. And I'm going to go around and blend this out. And you'll notice I'm going right over the top of my printed ink, and it's not touching it, which is really a nice thing to have happen, because then you don't have to worry about getting outside the lines really. Okay, so I've got that blended out. I've kind of left, I have the most color on her forehead. I've left her cheeks and her, the area right here lightest, because that's where you'd have the most highlights on your face, is right in this area, so I've left that lightest. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my peach, which is a little bit darker, and I'm going to add some shadows underneath the hair. So, and it's only, this is the wrong color, that's why it's not working. I'm going to use my peach, and it's going to add a little bit of depth to that area underneath the hair. And on the sides of the face, because this is where you'd have the most shadow, on the sides of your face, because that part bends away, bends back, so you'll have the most shadow there. Then I'm going to take my blender, still going in tight little circles, and I'm going to blend that out. I wish I had a nail file with me, because this one's getting a little, there's getting to be a buildup on this blending tool, and it's not blending quite the way I like it. But that's okay. Alright, there we go. So that's all kind of darkened in. Lastly, I'll take this nectar and I'll put just a little bit more up there, just under the hair, real thin, just one last layer of depth, and I'll blend that out. If you get too much colored pencil built up on your blending tool, you saw what just happened where it like sort of pulled up on the paper. Just keep blending and that'll go away. Okay, so now I have all my shadows up underneath the hair. Now I need to add some blush to her cheeks. And to do that, I'm going to take my blush pink pencil, and with small circular strokes, I'm going to kind of build up a little bit of blush right here. And I'm really kind of focusing on working light there. I don't want it to be too dark. I'm going to do the same thing over here, starting a little bit darker in the middle and kind of lightening up as I work to the outside. I could leave that, it doesn't look too bad, but I'm going to go ahead and blend it out. Same blending stump. I'm going to get a little bit more Odorless Mineral Spirits, and with a circular motion I'm just going to blend it. Okay, so there you go. There, she's got a nice pink blush to her. I'll zoom in and see if it'll show up a little bit better. There we go. Oh, but it's not going to focus, is it? There we go. Alright, so there you go. You can see a nice light pink blush there. Now for her hair. This is the part where I'm going to struggle to keep this on a easier level, but hopefully we can. I've spent so much time teaching portrait drawing to my students that I have a hard time pulling this one back a little bit. When you shade hair, you're going to want to, if you want it to look somewhat realistic, you want to contour the hair to follow the direction that the hairs go. So on her hair, you can see I was kind of doing with that with my hand, like her hair follows like this path, and Marie's given you some really great lines to follow. So I'm going to start with my black, because I'm going to give her black hair, and I'm going to start making little flicking motion. This is very similar. If you use Copic markers, this is the same sort of like flicking motion you do, so that you get a thicker line that fades out. And I'm going to follow this hairline and blend this out. And you notice it kind of changed directions there. I was curving this way, and then I got straight, and then I'm curving this way, because that's where the change in the hair direction sort of happens. Now, I'm not really all that concerned about making sure that this black shows up super black at the roots, because I'm going to use the OMS or the Odorless Mineral Spirits to pop that out. So I'm not too worried about it right now. For the tips of her hair, because black hair doesn't tend to have highlights at the end, or isn't really faded at the end, I'm going to do black tips at the end. So I'm going to do the same thing, only I'm flicking upward. Alright, then I'm going to take my warm gray 70% and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to extend these down just a little bit. And I'm really going to do fewer with this because less of it is necessary. Alright, so we're going up. And that's done with that one. Then I'm going to take my warm gray 50. And I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to try to keep my lines from meeting. I want to keep a nice little strip of highlight right here where the white is. Okay, so that's done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black blending stump and I'm going to dip it into the Odorless Mineral Spirits, which I need to find my black blending stump here. And I'm going to dip this into the Odorless Mineral Spirits, and using the exact same motion I was just doing with the pencil, now I'm going to pull some of these colors down and they'll pop out more with the OMS. It sort of blends it a little bit, liquefies it and blends it into the paper, so they're going to show up a little bit brighter. Alright, so you can see how that darkened up quite a bit. Now, and I'm not going and blending in circles like I would have before with the cheeks and the face. I'm just using the strokes because I want to keep the integrity of the hair, the individual hairs that you see, or the texture of the hair that you would see if it was real life. So, still flicking that up. You can still see it's darkening the tips a little. Kind of solidifying those down. You know, I can pull that up a little bit more. Kind of makes the grays that I put in pop a little bit more. Okay, and that is done with the OMS. I might go back in with my black just a little bit up here just at the roots. Now that I've done the OMS, to see, now that I can see that it needs just a little bit more, and darken that up, but I don't know if anybody else can see that but me. So there's that's done for that part of her hair, and then I would continue same idea through all the rest of the hair. For this part here, my strokes would curve this way, and my highlight would be like right here in the middle. And for this part of her hair, strokes would bend around this way. The highlight would be out here on the outside of the head. If you look at someone who's got light shining on them, the top of their head is usually darker, and then the outside edges has the highlight because it's where it bends. Okay, so that's where I do the highlights here and here. And then kind of down in here, there'd probably be a little bit of shine just because your hair is shiny, and when it bends, it catches light. So I'm going to kind of finish that, and then I'm going to jump ahead because you don't need to watch me color all of the hair all at once. So I'm going to pause this real quick and finish that, and then I'm going to come back and show you how to do the shirts and the pants and the rest of her skin. Alright, here we go. There's Ebony's hair all finished. You can see I put the highlights in just where I mentioned. Highlight here, a little bit there, and the tips, kind of let those, they'd have some shine on them because they're sticking up. So you can kind of see what's going on there. Now, for her shirt, I'm going to make her shirt red, and I'm going to give her a jean skirt, and then we're going to finish up her little chucks, and then we're going to finish up her skin real quick. This part will go the fastest of all of it, so we'll be done here in just a minute. For her shirt, I'm going to make it a red shirt. So my two favorite reds of the Prismacolors are the Crimson Red and the Crimson Lake. They work really great together to give like a nice deep red. And for reds, I know with the skin tone I used a lot more colored pencil, and for the hair I used a ton more colored pencil than I'm going to use on her shirt. I'm just going to take my Crimson Red and I'm going to just put red colored pencil right on the edge. and up underneath here. Okay. I'm not filling in any of the rest of that, and then I'm going to put it in right underneath her arms, like that. Then I'm going to take my Crimson Lake, and I'm not going to blend anything yet. I'm just going to put, this is kind of a slightly deeper red. I'm going to put a little bit of that right here. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to take my red blender, which you can see, obviously very red, and I'm going to use, I'm going to use little swirly strokes just like I did with the face. Starting out here in this part, I'm going to push the color this way, and it's going to lighten up as I push it that way. And then for this part, I'm just going to go over and fill it out. For the shirt, I'm going to do the same thing I did at the bottom. I'm just going to push the color out to fill in the rest. Okay, so again, pushing the color this way towards the middle, and it lightens up as you go, which is what we want. Okay, so now she's got her nice red shirt. I'm going to go back with my Crimson Lake just a little bit up here to kind of darken that area just a tad, and that's done. All right, for her denim skirt, I'm going to use one color of colored pencil. It is denim blue. And I'm going to do just what I did with the shirt. I'm going to outline these areas. Anywhere, think about jeans, think about anywhere that the darkest part of jeans is always the creases, because that's the part that doesn't fade when they do all their washing tricks. So that's where you want to put the darkest part of the color. And then I'm going to grab my blue blending tool and get some OMS, and with my circular strokes I'm going to blend down towards the bottom. And this denim blue it's perfect. Once it's blended out, it is very nearly perfect denim color. Alright, so that's all blended. Okay. Now, for the rest of her skin, for the rest of the skin, I'm just going to start with the peach. I'm not going to worry about using the light peach. I'm just going to kind of fill it in real quick, because face has the most highlights on it. The rest of the arms and legs aren't going to have as much. So I'm going to put my peach right here and here, just along the underside, because that's where it would be the darkest. And on the inside of her ankles. I'm assuming she's not wearing socks with her chucks. I don't know. I usually don't wear socks with my chucks. And then use the odorless blender to blend it out. Alright, now her shoes. She's going to have some red shoes, and she's going to have a red headband. I always color the toe with this. I'm going to try not to forget to do that. For this, I'm just going to color it solid. And then I'm just going to hit it real quick with the blender, just to smooth out the color. And for some reason, the blender seems to sort of pop the color a little bit. Okay, so that's done. That's all I'm going to do for her shoes. For her headband, I am going to start with my dark in the creases where it would be the darkest. And I'm not fading or anything fancy. I'm just starting there. And then I'm going to take my blender and start down in there, and with swirly motions go towards the center. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit more because it's kind of dry. Same thing over here, pull my color out, blend over, overlap and meet. And I've got a nice little fade there. And that's it. She's all finished. If you wanted to put a shadow on the ground around her, you could do that. Oh, I forgot to do her neck. Hold on real quick. forgot to do this part. Okay. If you want to put a shadow on the ground around her, find your lightest gray. And I've got a cool gray 10 that I'm going to use. And I'm just going to take and put a little shadow on the ground. Okay, and then what I would do next is I would take my next darkest color up, which I've got a cool gray 30, and I'm going to go into the center of this and make it just a little bit darker, just where her feet touch the ground and just where the shadow's nearest to her, so it would where it would be the heaviest, just like that. And that shadow is pretty much done. If you want to blend it out, you can, but I usually don't on those. If you want to put like background shadow in, you could take a blue and go around the outside of her with a blue. I will show that on a different tutorial on another day, but there she is, all finished and ready to put on a card. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope it wasn't too long. I know I tend to go on and on. I will be back with more colored pencil tutorials, and I think a couple more Copic tutorials on my personal blog pretty soon, which there's a link to that on either my Vimeo page or on the blog page that you found this on. So have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.